Please, I don't want to do something I don't want
Go
to.
to the bathroom. Come here. Listen to me.
I want to go downstairs.
I'm not going to do anything. You'll never see me again after this.
Why yesterday you touched my breast?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in.
No, but I'm not used to
I
that.
won't do it again. Come on.
That was Ambra Gutierrez wearing a wire put on her by the NYPD, coming forward, making the first public accusation against Harvey Weinstein back on March 31st, 2015. This was way before the New York Times and New Yorker exposed him for all of his sexual misconduct. Ambra now joins me on set. Ambra, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I think everyone is very grateful that you have come forward. I know you spoke in front of the courthouse yesterday, and I thought this was just a good time for everyone to get to know you a little more, because you were the first. And when we talk about this case, everyone always refers to October of 2017, because that's when the New York Times and the New Yorker came out. But your accusation was from March 31st, 2015, a long time ago. Now, before we get into that, just tell us about you and who you were back then, actress and model.
Yeah, a model, not an actress. I was just working as a model in New York. Of course, I'm from Italy, so there is a lot of steps you have to do before getting into America with your visas and stuff. So it was hard to get here, and this was my dream and is my dream now. Then when that day happened...
So what brought you to the United States? Is it work?
Yeah, I got my visa as a model through my agency, and then I started to work as a model in first time 2014 for about 2 months.
Oh, so you just had gotten here before you met Harvey Weinstein.
Absolutely.
And your family, they're back in Italy?
They're all in Italy, yeah. All my family's in Italy.
So you just been here for a little more than a year or so?
Back then I was 2 months in 2014, and then 3 weeks 2015 when then I encountered Harvey Weinstein.
And you met Harvey Weinstein, I believe it was right around here in Tribeca.
Yes, at his office, Tribeca Film Center, something like that.
Yeah, it's literally behind your shoulder down the street. It's so close.
Yeah.
And so what brought you to his office? How did that meeting come about?
The day before, there was a show at the Radio City Music Hall. And I went there with my agent and other colleagues. There is many times that happen. There is events to attend. And yeah, I went to this show. Then after, there was a party in the same building, in the same theater. And I was there in the VIP area, just watching myself around. Of course, I couldn't speak very well English. And I was just curious to see. Then, from the other side of this big room, I saw this presence staring at me. And at first, I didn't mind it. But then, when it started to come my way, I felt a little uncomfortable. I saw he was very interested in me. And it asked my name. I then answered, and he started to say, "You really look like Mila Kunis. Did anyone told you that?"
Interesting.
And I said, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who she is." Because, of course, I grew up in Italy. And
sure.
So then he started to ask me what my agency was, and I introduced him to my agent. So they spoke for 5 minutes, and he was saying of how there was this very interesting project he was working for about, and that he could have put me into it. And I kept saying, "I'm not an actress, I'm sorry." And I thought it was like about theater or something. And I said, "But it would be nice to try, maybe."
So you were interested in perhaps pursuing acting?
Maybe, like it could have been something beautiful to try to do.
Sure.
I like art, so whatever you could, get to that, it makes me happy. So anyway, they exchanged business cards for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes conversation, and he left. Then my agent turned to me and said, "Do you know who this person is?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry." And he answered, "He's the producer of the show that we just watched." And I said, "Oh, wow." But I mean, okay. I mean, that's it.
Do you remember the show?
I think it was the spring, spring something.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'm not
But,
good with Broadway shows myself, but it's Radio City Music Hall, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So then I just left, went out with my friends, and the next day I prepared myself for the castings that usually I have every day. So I get ready, I go to one casting, to another one, and then around lunchtime, my agent called me and said, "You got an extra casting. Is with the guy that you met yesterday, you remember?"
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Okay, fine. He's going to send me details, whatever." And so I got an email. And I saw there was this address, it was an office, and I just went there after my other meetings. So I got to this building, and I did the check-in with the reception and went to the third floor.
And you went alone?
Yeah.
And you thought there was nothing wrong with going alone?
No, I always have
Of
castings.
course. So you're doing this all day long, going casting to casting, meeting to meeting,
Yes.
by yourself?
Yeah.
No problem with that?
Absolutely. I
Sure.
never had problems. And so I got to the third floor. There is the secretary. She escorted me to an office, and I went through all the desks of people working, and then I sat to this sofa. Then I'm waiting, and she put up like a video of a lot of trailers of movies. And then I was watching myself around, and I saw photos of him with a lot of, famous people, actresses, actors, politicians, and I said, okay, maybe this person is a very big producer of shows. But anyway, I mean, I just felt like it was a meeting for work. Then he came in the room and again said that was very nice to see me and that I looked like Mila Kunis. And then he started to ask me questions and that he could mentor me to become an actress. And then after a little conversation, I showed my book, because that's what happens. You have to show your portfolio as a model. So he was scrolling my photos, and at one point he stopped to a lingerie picture of me, because of course I'm a lingerie bikini model mostly. And then he watched me and asked if my breast was real. And I said, yes. And after that, he just had his hands on me.
Has anyone ever asked you that question before?
No.
So you submitted, he asked you the question.
Yeah, I was
What did you think?
I was surprised. I was thinking, why to ask that? And then it just in like no time, his hands were on my breast, and I was shocked. I didn't react. I just stared at him, and then after that he put his hand on my leg, and kept asking to kiss him, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't do things like that when I don't know someone. I need a lot of time to do that. And he's like, okay, and just jumped away from me. And said, I understand. Maybe we're gonna get a drink later and we can discuss. And I don't know, I just left. And I was shocked. I didn't know if I should have spoke to the secretary and said something.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Where was the secretary?
She wasn't there. She was outside. Then she just rushed in.
And this was an office?
It was very little room.
Closed door?
Like a waiting area.
And the secretary was
No,
not
she
in
wasn't
that area.
there. She wasn't there. It was me and him. And she just took me out of there and said, oh, I'm going to send you an email with the tickets for a show tonight. And she was like, kept on talking and I couldn't listen. And I said, I need to go to the restroom now. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure, it's here. And I remember I put my hands under the water, cold water because I felt like I was going to pass out. And then I hold myself up and I left. And in the elevator, I started to panic to going downstairs. I tried to call my agent, and it wasn't picking up because it was already like closing time of the office. And then I reached out to another agent, and I started saying, "Oh, like, sorry if I disturb you. I need to talk to someone. Like, something happened to me. Something happened." And he was like, "What's going on, Ambra? Like, are you okay?" And I'm like, I have to see someone. I have to see someone." So I jumped in a cab, and I started crying, and I went to my agency.
You were in the cab crying.
Went to my agent, and of course, I was devastated, but I told him I want to go to the police. And he said, "Well, this person is very powerful. Are you sure you want to do that? You're going to lose everything." And I just kept saying, "Yes, I want to go to the police. This person touched me." And I really don't like when someone touched me. So then he drove me to the police station in Tribeca in front of...
I think it's the first precinct?
Yes,
That's
exactly.
like around that corner, and it's same thing down there,
in front of Spring Place. I'm not sure what it is.
Spring
Jones,
Street?
yes. Something like that.
Yes.
So then I got in there and I said through the window to the police guy in there that this person assaulted me. And he answered with, "Again?" So I said, "What do you mean again? This happened before?"
Oh my gosh.
And he said, like, bumbling, just follow me here. You're going to be talking to someone. And I'm like, what that means.
So when you spoke, and that's the desk sergeant who I assume you spoke
through
to.
the window.
Yes, that's when they take the walk-in complaints. You said the name Harvey Weinstein, and he responded again.
Yes.
What happened next?
Next, I got that devastating feeling into complete anger. And when I spoke to the police sergeant in there, I told of all the story, and then they sent me to the special victims up in Harlem. So then they escorted me up there, and I started to speak with these police women, and I told the story and everything, and probably it was already 9 p.m. And suddenly I received an email, and it's Harvey, and he said, "Where are you?" And I said to the women in there that he brought me, and he was asking where I was, because he was waiting for me for this show that he sent me the tickets for, that I forgot about. So the police, it's all around me in this room, and told me to answer and gave my number. So then after 2 minutes, he calls me, and he said, "Where are you? I'm very mad at you. You didn't show up and got the ticket. Those are very expensive tickets. Where are you? Why you're not here?" Oh. And I answered, "I'm sorry. Today was a little too much for me, and I have women's issues. I didn't feel good." And he's like, "Oh, I understand. I understand. But you should have told me that."
Sure.
And I said, "I'm sorry, and it's not going to happen again." And the police was recording that conversation. And I started asking him, "So how my breasts feel?" And he said, "It feels amazing. Your body is beautiful. You're beautiful. It's very amazing. You should not worry about it." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, thanks." And then he said, "I'm going to send you the tickets for tomorrow's show. Please come." And I closed the conversation. And that was already him admitting for what he did the first time. So the police was very excited. They said, "You got him." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm glad." And then the next question was, "Would you meet him again? Wear a wire?" And I don't know, I had that again, just continuing to pop up in my head, thinking that maybe, I don't know, someone else would be hurt even more than me, and I just answered yes. So that night I went home. Of course, I couldn't sleep.
No.
I then got back to the police special victim department, and they warned me. Then I got in a cab and went to the show that he sent me the tickets for.
Were you scared?
I don't know. I was feeling like I had to do that. I had to be strong. So then I got to this show. I watched it. They told me to just act normally as I would ever act. And so I shared on social media. Like completely being myself. So the show was then finished, and I saw him coming towards me. And he said, it's amazing to see that you're here. Did you like the show? And I answered, yes, it was beautiful. And then he said that a driver would have taken me to this bar to get a drink. So then I went out, got into this car, and I was messaging with the police, telling them that they were bringing me to the Tribeca Grand, I think. And then I was there, and they all rushed in there. When I got inside this place, I recognized the police that was all around me while I was sitting at the table. So then he arrived, got a coffee, sat in front of me, and started to talk. And the police told me to make him talk. So I tried to ask questions, tell him to tell me things, and of course to get more admission of what he did. He told me about how I should be nice with him and follow his lead, how he could have made me become the next Hollywood star, that he saw a lot of potential in me, but that I had to learn English well. And yeah, like most of the time he's kept saying of how he did this and that, how he created this person, that I was better than this and than that. And then at a certain point, out of nowhere, he started to tell me that he had to get ready for an event and that I should have been going with him in his hotel room. And the first reaction was like, can I just wait for you here? And he said, no, it's just 5 minutes. I'm just going to get ready. And then we go to this event. And I kept saying, maybe it's better if I wait for you here. And he's like, no, just follow me. So then I stand up. I left my jacket in the chair in purpose. And then when I got to the elevator to the second floor, I was still writing to the police because the wire wasn't connected to them. And
so
I
you were
told
messaging
them,
on your phone.
yeah, I told them like I'm at the second floor, and they saw me leaving, so I thought someone would follow me. And I was there in the hallway, and then I figured no one followed me, and
You must have been so scared.
yeah, let's say that I always learned as a woman to always have an escape plan. So when I was there, I just said to him, my jacket is downstairs. I forgot it. And he kept saying, no, just, I'm gonna send someone to get it. And I said, no, something important is in there. I have to go downstairs. So I turned and got to the elevator downstairs, and he followed me. So I got the jacket, and then I stared in the face of the police, and to the police agent, and I said with my eyes, help me. So then again, I went to the second floor with him. He was kept on like, I don't know, treating me like I was dumb or something. And I was actually playing dumb at the time. And then when we are in front of this room, hotel room, someone jumped out and started to say, hey, this and that from TMZ. Who is this lady? And I understood it was the police.
Sure.
And anyway, he said, oh, go away. Why someone allowed you here? This is my hotel. And it kept saying, who is this lady? What's her name? And I was like acting confused. And then he said, Ambra, follow me. So we went downstairs. And I said, okay, that's it. I mean, he understood, like, I showed that he tried to take me twice to a hotel room, pushing me into following him a lot of times. And then I went downstairs and I continued just to follow him to the reception, and he kept talking to, he started talking to the people in there, saying that a guy was upstairs, a reporter, and that it wasn't allowed and all this. And then he took me outside, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm gonna leave. That's it, it's enough. Mm-hmm. And instead there was like a security guy, very tall, with us, and we were following him, and he said, just come with me. So we got to a second entrance of the hotel, like service entrance, to an elevator. And I was texting the police, but my phone didn't have a reception in there.
Oh my gosh.
So I then got into this elevator to the penthouse floor. And I was alone. I knew it.
With Harvey?
Yeah. And at that point, I was very scared. And he was at this room, at this door, telling me to get in there, that he was like slamming the door and being annoyed on the fact that I was creating a scene, that I should have not embarrassed him, that if I would not get into the room, I would ruin the friendship, relationship that I had with him, and that I should have not called him anymore, that my career was going to be ruined. And then he admitted, when I asked, why did he touch my breast, that he was used to that. And yeah, I understood that was enough. So I left, took the elevator downstairs. And again, he followed me. He didn't want to let me go. Maybe that moment that he understood I really wouldn't never pursue what he wanted me to do, he started to become nervous. So downstairs again, he was telling me, oh yeah, I understand you need a lot of, time to get to know someone, and so this and that. And let's say the red code was when I would tell him to go to the restroom, and so the police would have understand it was enough. Mm-hmm. So then I left, and downstairs I met the police sergeant that then told me, is done, Ambra. He's for sure going to jail.
Now, I know that you have a time limit. You have to go in a few minutes. This story is unbelievable. Thank you for telling us this. You turned over that tape. The police had that tape. Eventually, you turned it over to Ronan Farrow.
Yeah. So the situation happened with me trying to have these recordings released to the media at the time, but I didn't know anyone.
But this was after you tried to pursue charges in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Why? What were you told about why they didn't pursue a case against Harvey Weinstein back in 2015?
It was confusing on how I was a testimony into the trial against the Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi in Italy. Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I didn't want to bring it up. But okay, so you were testifying, or you were involved in a case against the Prime Minister of Italy.
Yeah.
And the Manhattan DA's office held that against you?
Yeah, like they asked me questions about if I was a prostitute, if I ever done anything like
that. The Manhattan DA's office?
Yes.
Asked you if you were a prostitute?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to treat a victim.
So after that, I felt that the system was against me, and I understood that recordings was the only way out. And when I was forced to sign that NDA, because when I got a call from my brother...
That was between you and Weinstein?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get the recording from the police to give it to Farrow?
It wasn't from the police. They told me to have a backup and record with my phone. So
you had a backup?
Mm-hmm. I recorded with my phone.
If you don't want to be a model, maybe you should go work for the CIA. I'm just giving you that advice. And how do you feel now? Before I let you go, I know,
Sure,
I know.
sure.
I don't want to keep you
It's
longer
very
than
long,
you've-
but
How do you feel now? Now that you are coming forward with
it's
your
a
story.
very heavy weight removed from my chest. I suffered for many years in silence, and right now I think it's the right time to speak, not only for me, but at least to help others to not get into the same situation that I was.
And you are planning to be a witness in the Los Angeles case against Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, I will be.
We thank you for your story.
Thank you for
our
giving me
viewers,
time.
other women, thank you for the story. Ambra, you're very brave.
Thank you.